Today I'll be showing you how to work with datasets or data frames in R, as well as how to perform some basic manipulations of datasets and the variables within them. I'll be working with a data object that is aptly named dataset. If I type in the name of the data object, I see here that the data has 6 variables in 6 columns, and there are 200 cases or rows. I can see the names of the variables in the data by using the command names, open parentheses, the name of the data object, and close parentheses. As you can see, ID, MF for gender, and X1 through X4 are my data sets. If I type head and then the dataset name, I can see the first 6 cases of all of my variables. I can use the command edit, open parentheses, and then the dataset name to bring up a screen in which I can edit the values of the data. And once in there, I can use tab to move around between values and change as I see fit. If I would like to see a subset of the data, I can use brackets after the dataset name. And remember the format row, comma, column. So I specify row first, 1:20 means rows 1 through 20, comma, and then I've left the column place blank, so it's going to show me all the columns or all the variables. I can specify a subset of data that I'd like to create from my original dataset by defining a new object as a data frame. So here I have defined dataset.b as a data frame, and I'm defining that from my original dataset, as you can see, but I don't want to include the 5th column. So I don't want to include X3 in my new dataset. So in order to do that, I simply, in the column place of my brackets, I put -5. The minus indicates I want to remove that from the new dataset, and 5 is the number of columns. So as you can see, if I then view that new dataset, the first 6 cases, X3 is now missing. So dataset.b only has 5 columns, and X3 is missing between X2 and X4. Next, I can also specify a subset of data by saying what data I want to include. Here, instead of subtracting a column, I'm going to indicate what columns I want to include. So let's say I want to only include 3 columns. I've indicated columns 5 through 7, and as you can see, I got an error. That's because that was a typo on my part. There are actually only 6 columns. So I did not mean 5 through 7, I meant 4 through 6. So let me replace 5 through 7 with 4 through 6. Now let me view the first 6 cases of dataset.c, and as you can see, columns 4, 5, and 6 now compose the dataset.c. Now, in addition to specifying a subset of data by columns, I can also specify a subset of data by cases. Let's say I want only to include in a new dataset the first 100 cases of my 200 rows or cases. I can do that by specifying a new data object, dataset.d, I could have named it anything, as a data frame. And let's say, again, it comes from the original dataset, rows 1, through 100, and I want to go ahead and include all columns, so I'll leave the column space after the comma blank, and let me view that data by typing the name dataset.d, and as you can see, all 6 columns are there and 100 cases are present. In addition to removing cases or columns, I can also add to datasets. To do that, I simply use this $sign indicator. So whenever I'm adding to a dataset, first to specify the name of the dataset, $sign, and then what name I want to add to the dataset. So here I'm going to specify a new variable called x1 underscore x2. I'm calling it that because I'm going to make it an interaction term of the x1, x2 variables, or I want to basically create a variable that multiplies x1 by x2. So I've specified dataset $x1 underscore x2 to be created from multiplying dataset $x1 times dataset $x2. And now if I look at that dataset, as you can see, a seventh column has been added, an x1 underscore x2, which is simply the product of x1 times x2. So that will do it for today's tutorial. Thanks for watching.